آله وصحبه أجمعين.
أن توفقنا فيما بقي منه إلى الصالح من القول والعمل يا رب. ألا ينسلخ عنا شهر رمضان إلا بذبح مرفوع وسعي مشكور وعمل صالح مقبول وعتق من النار يا رب العالمين. اللهم آمين. لقد مضى ثلث رمضان وقد شرعنا اليوم الليلة
We are in the one third part of Ramadan.
إن العبرة بكمال النهايات.
It is very important to understand that we have to know that it is about how you finish something. The finish it's very important.
العبرة بكمال النهايات لا بنقص البدايات. من جودك يقول
Ibn al-Jawzi to say,
إذا شرفت نهاية المضمار بدلا قصارى جهدها لتفوز بالسباق فلا تكن الخير أفضل منك.
if you are looking at a horse race, you always find the horses toward the end of the race, they do their best. They are running the fastest. If you let's be better than the horse. Let's be taking advantage of our end, the end of our lives, than it happened. So we have to take care of what's left of our lives. If we did not receive Ramadan the right way, at least let's finish him the right way. Ibn Jawzi says that no matter what you do, start from now and start to perfect what you did. Starting tonight, there is one night that is better than 1,000 months. And the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he enters the last tens, he will hold his bands tight, meaning that he wakes up his family. He spent the whole day, the whole night in Quran recitations, sleeps little, worship a lot, prepare for the hereafter. All of this life, whatever you miss from this enjoyment, you'll be able to catch up with it. But Ramadan and its rewards is only a few days. May Allah make the best of our actions, the end, and make the best days is the day we meet you. So in the i'tikaf, we leave everything in this life and we concern with Allah Azza wa Jal, where our heart is concentrated with Allah, is tilting toward Allah. We have to be God conscious, we have to be God contemplating the whole time. You have to have 4 types of hours. 1 hour that you are communicating with Allah, 1 hour that you put yourself accountable, and 1 hour that you look and listen to the scholars and what they say and learn from this religion, and some time for yourself so you could energize yourself for worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal, to sleep, to do the things that Allah made you enjoy in life that's permissible, from eating and sleeping and so on and so forth. The Prophet ﷺ, his sunnah during the i'tikaf, you have the best of guidance, the easiest and the most complete. He made i'tikaf in the first 10 nights, for the first 10 days, and then he was told this, the Laylatul Qadr is not in those 10 days. Then he started on the second one, and then he was told it's not there, so he seeked it in the third of the night, because he was not he knew about its existence in Ramadan, but he did not know where. And when he made that i'tikaf, he was told by Jibreel or an angel that he's still ahead of him. So Jibreel will tell him that what you are asking is still ahead. Then he made that i'tikaf second one. Then he was told again by Jibreel that it's not there yet, it's later. And then he was told about Laylatul Qadr, but he was made to forget it. And he told us to count in the odd numbers of the last 10 days. And some scholars said it moves around every year. One day when it'll be 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th, 29th. Maybe it is the 21st because he was uh, praying, and it rained, and it became muddy in the masjid of the Prophet. And he alayhi salatu we used to make sujood, and you could see the mud on the face of the Prophet ﷺ. And this happened the first night that he made his i'tikaf. So maybe tonight is the night of Al-Qadr. Or could be after it. Allahu Alam. Allah knows better. But Allah Azza wa Jal want us to know about this night so we could do the best that we can in the last 10 days. And Allah will not decrease our deeds. Whomever makes an atom weight of goodness, he will find it, and vice versa. So the Shaykh mentioned to us that he, alayhi salatu wasalam, made the i'tikaf 20 nights instead of 10 nights. Some, they said, that he was told that he's going to die soon, so he wanted to increase the goodness that he used to do. This way he wants to give us a hint that if you are older, you try to double your work, not decrease it. And he was told also that when he alayhi salatu wasalam was traveling the year before, so in that year he wanted to make up for not making i'tikaf in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And also he alayhi salatu wasalam used to have a small tent in the masjid, if he prayed Fajr, and he will enter his tent. And he alayhi salatu wasalam used to stay most of his time when I'm i'tikaf in the masjid. He only leave there's an emergency or a necessity, because i'tikaf you stay in the masjid seeking, getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the i'tikaf pillar is the masjid. Even if you made a room in your own home and prepared it so it'll be a break, it's not a masjid. You cannot use it as a mu'takaf. The mu'takaf only in the masjid. The mu'takaf, he can take a shower, wash, put cologne, comb his hair. He is not someone on ihram. In the ihram, you don't cut any of your fingers or your. You don't put perfume. You stay away from the clothes, the light clothes. The i'tikaf, you can do whatever you want. And we have mentioned that the sunnah, for those who are not, that he do not visit us sick and do not go after janazah. It's because he wants to concentrate in those days with Allah Azza wa Jalla.
Someone forget his phone in the bathroom.
But some of the Prophet's wives, they used to visit him. Safiya came and talked to him for an hour. When she wanted to leave, he wanted to take her back. And that i'tikaf is not only for the men, but for women, they could do it with the permission of their husband. And our mother Aisha says I used to make a tent and he will enter it. So Hafsa asked her if she could do the same. When Zainab bint Jahsh, she took the same thing. So when he alayhi salatu wasalam woke up, He saw all the akhbar. He said, "What are these?" Then he was told it is one. And then he asked him, "Is it the piety you want?" And he took all of this, and then he did not make his itikaf, but he make up for it in Shawwal. I mean, is there a benefit or reward for that itikaf? There's no hadith, specific hadith about this. But definitely there is a word, but it's Allah Azza wa Jal who gave it. What is the wisdom of the i'tikaf? Ibn al-Qayyim says, when the correction of the heart depends on his walking with Allah Azza wa Jal, how he the heart, when it is not concentrated with Allah Azza wa Jal, and the companions were we did not do much of talk or anything that is permissible, even though they are permissible, they just wanted to concentrate on the recitation of the Quran. They isolated themselves to Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah the i'tikaf, that's the bent of it, the spirit of it, that the heart communicate with Allah, and to be combined with Allah, and to be isolated with Him, and to stay away from being busy with the creations, and be with Allah the Almighty. So the heart will be concerned only with Allah Azza wa Jal, and that will be the only interest for the person, is in remembrance of Allah, to seek His pleasure. And Allah replace him with partners with light and entertaining during the to compensate for the days of Ramadan. I hope in this part of Ibn al-Qayyim that we distinguish between i'tikaf, the right one in Masjid Nabawi, which is to leave everything with word and to be busy only with remembrance of Allah. Some of us, they make a joke of it by making a diwani or a place of gathering for entertainment and gossiping. That's not part of the i'tikaf, whether it is so we go back to the ayah that we have from the Quran. If you were traveling, did not find someone to write the debt, then someone need to put a bond. And an ayah before that, if you made a debt, then write it down. And then Allah took a situation. If you're traveling, but the tools of writing are not there, so maybe take a bond from someone to represent their money. For this person who's traveling, he could write and the rahid is traveling or not, whether there is things to write with or no. يعني صلاة made a rihan bond for something, and then it was returned after his death.
الراهن إذا لم يخبر بالاتفاق لا ينتفع به.
The bond, it has to be taken to the person with the debt, so he will have some kind of guarantee to get some of his rights in the future.
الراهن إذا كان مغلى يديرها إذا كان الأصل ملكا للمدين فإن أيضا غلته تابعة للأصل. قصدا رهنت شخص.
Like if I bonded an apartment, I took money as a loan and I made a contract with someone. The person who made the debt cannot invest it.
كان هنا الفائدة فوق أصل البنك لأنه الالتفات على الربا لا الراهن
Unless there is an alimony. Like if you had an animal, I took $100. I have this I guarantee until I pay you the debt back. But he is feeding it, so of course he can charge you for that. And the Hanabala take this issue, and Allah is saying that if you are trading and it was a commerce between you, and you trust each other, then it will become like a cash deal where they don't have to write down everything and they bond it between them. If there is a trust between the two parties. And to remember this noble place with each other. So they say it was not, there's more severe punishment for testimony, because Allah said whomever hide the will, then he need to have the glad tidings of, like if he can't do it, that his family will. Because Allah said whomever hides it, then he is wrong with his heart, and Allah knows what you're doing. He knows everything that was happen and what going to happen and how it's gonna happen. So the bond, it happened with a contract. When is forbidden? Because if the debtor, he is owning the money, there is places in Canada to some of the Jewish partners, and they say whoever wants to make wudu, then he should have gold. And then they sell it in the market, even with something less, uh, especially if there is gambling. And usually, the one who took the debt, he had nothing except the contract, and to protect his right. And this uh, debt relief is up, uh, and any increase in the contract that happens with an agreement, it is riba. Anything beyond that is the goodness in fulfilling the promises. Yes, this person maybe loaned me 10,000, but he was patient with me. He gave me some money. Instead of returning back 10, I made it 15. That was not because of it was a novelty from the one who gave the debt or the loan, and this is from the goodness of given. And the Sharia, just like mentioned that, it also mentioned the debtor to deal with the person who's having hardship. Allah said to look for an ease, and if you give charity, it is better for you if you know. And yesterday we said for the person who is capable to pay his debt back or his part of the contract back, and he's delaying it and with no excuse, then as a punishment for him, they need to do one as a charity, more than one. And the Prophet ﷺ said, do good to each other. If the person who have the right, if he knows what is his right because of this, then you will find the person who is a student, he will run away from the person that he gathered the money for him, because he knew there is punishment for every action. All of this in a book of Allah Azza wa Jal. So just like the Sharia. So don't delay the person who gave you a loan for no matter what reason. To keep delaying, and you're rich and capable, this is definitely there is a sin for it. And they deserve the some not like him. You get a punishment for each one. Can't you see, for example, the longest ayah in the Quran is talking about religion? Whenever you start praying, you say Allahu Akbar and you recite Al-Fatiha, and then you recite you, and then this ayah in the Quran. There's so similarities between Aqidah and Sharia. That's why the dispute between the servants of Allah so you recite Quran that, and you have to worry about the to settle that And that's why whomever wanted to separate between state and religion and to disbelieve in the Sharia, the laws of inheritance and so on, they are making a great mistake that's going to touch the whole nation. That's because Iblis, he received the that he's kicked out of the and when he was arrogant and he refused to prostrate. How about those who read the Quran and they don't seek Allah's acceptance and help? They say that in the book of Allah 500 ayat from the rules of ayat of rules. It's not only the focus on one of the scholars of Al-Azhar, Muhammad Al-Hussein, he used to say to separate the state from the religion, it is a destruction to the whole religion, and no Muslims should do unless they are not existent anymore. Ameen. Ameen.
ولا يلزم ان تعتكف الليالي العشر جميعا، بل لا يلزم ان تعتكف النهار كله ولا ليله. نتيسر على الله والمنصور